Coach, can you start with why coming here to Pittsburgh to be the defensive coordinator made sense for you?
One starts with Mike and just knowing Mike from my time at Green Bay and just how much I admired him throughout my career being a young coach and respect I had for him, and then finally get to work with him for 1 year, and then we stayed in contact. Two, the tradition of the Steelers, as a defensive coach, to be able to come here to try to earn our place in that tradition, it's really near and dear to my heart, and I don't take it lightly. I'm very fortunate to be in that situation. And then, as it always comes down to when you have a choice, it comes down to the players. There's so many good and productive football players on that side of the ball here, and just as I've gone through the process so far, getting a chance to meet those men, I'm really, really excited.
What are you most excited about the Steelers' defensive roster as we sit here today?
The size, the sheer, the mass of the human beings that we have lined up out there. This is what you envision in terms of your defense to look like, in terms of length, size, mass. They're just big men. Like, every time I've met one of them, most of them are all bigger than me. And I'm not a small guy, but they just dwarf me, and I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted to look like.
Coach McCarthy said in his introductory press conference, wants to stay with the 3-4, wants to try to keep the language the same. How do you go about doing that? What are the steps that you have to take to get there?
It's so much easier for myself and the coaching staff because we're lesser in numbers. We can learn the language as opposed to having all 45 of these guys learn the new language as we go. So wherever we keep it consistent, because again, it's been successful here. What Coach Tomlin built, what the coaches before him built, all those guys that have been here, it's been successful. So whatever we could use the same, we'll go ahead and use the same. It's easier for us as coaches to learn something new.
That makes sense. You mentioned Coach McCarthy in your time that you spent with him in Green Bay. While it was short, what did you take away or learn from him being able to be on his staff the first time?
Just prior to getting there, and I just admire how he sequenced the game as an offensive play caller. I remember Coach Belichick talking about him, like when we would get ready for the games against Green Bay and just watching and being on defense and having to go against it, how he was able to sequence the game. And so that really stuck with me. Then when I got there and got a chance to talk ball with him and then work for him, just how organized and how thought out everything is in terms of seeing things in advance. And you can see how and then you're like, oh, it makes sense. That's his day-to-day. That's how it carries over to the game planning, and that's how it carries over to how he calls the game in terms of he's able to see ahead of, and anticipate things. And he's so organized that I've used a lot of those things I learned from him as I moved along in my career.
Were you surprised or excited? What was the feeling when you got the phone call from him to come in and interview?
Thankfully, Coach, was able to see, he knew me, know what I've been able to do, working with the defensive units I've had to work with, and knowing what the vision I have for a defense. And so I was happy that was still in place. And when he called, I was very happy. I was very excited.
What do you think about the rest of the staff under you? Some familiar faces, some new faces for everybody, but it feels like Coach McCarthy had a rhyme or rhythm of why he chose the guys to build this staff.
I love the fact that a few of us have worked together before, and then some of the guys have worked together away from me for a long time. So there's some familiarity there, especially on the back end, whether it's Joe Witt, Jason Simmons, and Scott McCurley. Those guys have spent a lot of time together and understand, one, the vision of the 3-4 in terms of when you're looking over the totality of the defense. Two, we've all worked together at some point, so there's some common language. And we all know how to work around each other in terms of, everybody knows in the morning I'm a little, I need my time. They all know that. I don't have to go through that process there. And then up front, these guys are just really, NFL playing experience, really, really hungry, really detailed teachers when they went through the interview process. I'm excited about that. And then great energy. So, again, I think anytime you bring in the less experienced coaches, I'm going to tell them, I need to feel your energy, so there's no moping around in the building. I don't care what's going on. You young people, there's no moping for you guys. I want your energy. We got to feel your energy, and I'm glad that they're here. And the fact that they're good coaches and they've had success where they've been.
One of the other characteristics that Coach McCarthy mentioned was a grinder. Do you feel like you kind of grew up with that mentality of being a grinder in the coaching world?
That's how I learned it. It starts back to my first job with Walt Hamline at Wagner College. Then my last job in college with Coach Charlie Weiss and Corwin Brown and John Tenuta. Those are the guys I worked for at Notre Dame. And then I go to New England and Coach Belichick, Matt Patricia, Josh McDaniel, all those guys. Those are the people I learned from in terms of grinding. And again, people think grind means we just stay in the office for hours and hours. It's all we stay in the office how long we got to stay in the office to get work done. But really the grind part is trying to find the edge. Can I find the edge, not selfishly, but for the players? That's what everybody has to understand. When you grind like that, it's searching for answers and ways for the players to be successful. So I always think it's funny when people are like, who's a player's coach? I'm like, the people that grind and try to find the information for the player to help them play better on Sunday. If I was a player, that's what I would want as my player's coach. And most grinders I know, that's what they're doing. How can I help him play better on Sunday?
Is there anything you want Steelers fans to know about you?
Football, I take this thing very seriously. If you're not serious about football, you're probably not in my life outside of having to be. And I'm very fortunate, and I feel fortunate to be to have an opportunity to earn my place in this tradition, and I'm not going to take that lightly. It's very special to me. I'm very excited about this.
All right. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you.